Do you think that the problem has gotten significantly worse because of these algorithms they're using? As you're saying, they're confirming, showing us what they think we want to see. So you end up in an echo chamber. Or do you think that but has it almost always been like that? We just weren't aware of it. In other words, like people say, oh, I long for the days of Walter Cronkite, but was he any better than anyone else? Or were we just so unaware, blissfully ignorant?
I think it's a little of both. So I think there was this kind of period in the middle of the 19th century where everyone subscribed to a handful of newspapers. They paid for the newspaper. The newspaper tried to sort of, play it objectively down the middle. But historically, yes, the media has always been very difficult to rely on, and there's always been wicked sort of bad incentives. I sort of so if you think about news in the early 20th century, the late 1800s, early 1900s, it was newsboys on street corners shouting over each other, extra, extra, read all about it. And there was like 30 or 40 or 100 daily newspapers in New York City alone. And so you can imagine this is an incredible amount of competition where everyone was trying to be the more extreme newspaper to get you to buy it. Now, I think about it, it's like, I don't know what outlets you read, but very rarely do people go to NewYorkTimes.com or FoxNews.com or whatever. The biggest news outlet in the world is Facebook. And so you're not actually reading the news, you're reading whatever is viral from the news. So the thing that's skewing the news is what is spreadable. So only the spreadable news. And look, the truth is, reality is really fucking boring. Most of what has happened is not interesting. So the only thing that spreads is what's provocative, that makes you angry. They did a study a few years ago. The number one predictor of virality in a news story was how angry it makes the person reading it, right? You never read an article and you're like, that was okay. I'm going to send this to everyone I know, right? You're like, I can't fucking believe they said this. Like, this is so wrong. This is so stupid. Or like, how dare he? How dare she? So it shouldn't surprise us that the news makes us angry and is extreme if extreme is what makes us share things, and it's through virality that the media attracts its audience, which it then sells to advertisers.
How do you fix this, though? So here's the problem. I mean, this is a really good topic, Ron. It's not something, I talk about this a lot with various guests, but it seems like this is really your area of expertise. And I just wonder what you can do given the way that the platforms operate right now and human behavior as it is. It seems like we're on this sinking ship and you're watching it go down and it's a disaster. Everyone's dying in slow motion. The country gets more and more divided on a daily, moment by moment basis. And what can you do? What's the answer? Is there an answer?
I mean, I think everyone should start by consuming 80% less news. You know what I mean? People are following the news in real time. And it's like, unless you run a hedge fund, unless you're a political pollster, unless you're in one of these professions where you're actually making decisions on this information, you're actually just consuming second-rate entertainment. It's like, I'd rather people be watching Netflix, whatever they want to watch on Netflix, than half the population watching MSNBC and CNN and the other half watching Fox News, because even ironically, the news is not even the news anymore, right? Fox News is 80% opinion shows and
Sure.
20% news. And even it's because politics are so divisive, it's zoom out. ESPN is 30% sports and 70% people who are not athletes commenting on athletes and what they might do and didn't do. It's like, you look at the question at the bottom of the screen, and it's like, should LeBron James have gone to his left last night? And it's like, well, he already fucking did, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just endless speculation. The news is one thing. The news is information, and information can be accurate or inaccurate. What the media companies have really figured out is that people have an insatiable appetite for speculation about the news, right? So it's like the State of the Union happens, and then instead of, okay, I've watched the State of the Union, now I can go back to watching, a comedy. people tune in, whether they're on the left or the right, for speculation about whether the president did a good job or a bad job. Did he spin right? Did he do this? What's the Democrats' reaction to me? And it's the same for CNBC. I mean, CNBC is what do you think Amazon's earnings will be in 6 minutes? It's like, why don't we just wait 6 minutes and that question will answer itself, you know? So it's just this endless, it's like this fake reality that people have been deceived. People think that their obligation as citizens is to be informed. And watching the news is probably the single worst way to be informed. So go read a book. You know what I mean? Go take a walk outside or have a conversation with a smart person.